Hey everyone, Mike here. I did a video on harvesting this flash material, like so, from this here. This is called lame, and there are different types of lame, and you want to try and find the stuff that's the easiest to harvest this material, because not all of them are exactly the same. Some are a little easier than others, and what you're looking for is the lame that, one, will stick out on the ends like this. And the way you do it is, let me grab a piece here, is when you're at the store you can kind of pull on the sides, and then you'll be able to see this exposed right here. There's little pieces sticking out right there. The other thing that you're going to want to look for is material that is loosely bound. So, like, if you want to get this flash out easy, you're going to want a material that kind of looks loosely woven in there to hold the flash. That way what happens is it becomes much easier to grab up on the top and pull it out, just like that. Okay, and the other thing that you're going to want to know to do when you're harvesting the stuff is you don't want pieces that are much more than 2.5 inches long. And what I'm going to show you here is a system that I designed and I make, and they're available on Etsy, and that's the vise attached brush table. Right now it's swung down and in a out of the way position, and when you're ready to put your materials on the hook, all you need to do, and we'll do this again, but all you need to do is grab your table to the vise attached brush table, grab it and bring it up, swing it into place. That's all you need to do. This thing swings down and out of the way so easy that it's not even funny. You pull it and you bring it up. Pull it and bring it up, and it's ready to make your brush. So let's go ahead and get busy on tying up this fly using the lame. All right, and the other thing we'll be using is this body cord that I have already brushed out. I harvested it from the cord. I've brushed it out and put them into tubes. And the reason why I put them into tubes is that it's easy to pull the material out of the tube at whatever length you're wanting to tie in. So on a hook like this is a Gamakatsu B10S hook, and the only thing you're going to want to do is pull out enough to give you that teardrop shape that you're wanting. Like right there, it's an elongated teardrop, obviously, just like that. So what you want to do is, since this hook is just under an inch, when you wrap on a brush, the brush needs to be a little more than twice the length of the shank of the hook. All right. And the reason for that is, if you just do 1 inch, then the fibers are only going to be a ½ inch long, or actually a little shorter, because when they get wrapped up in the thread, everything kind of shrinks up. And when they shrink up, they gather and they get smaller. Okay, so you want to keep all of that in mind to the size hook that you're using. So a good rule of thumb would be to cut your material, okay, probably a little over 2 times the length of the hook, maybe 2.5 times the length of the hook. So if you got a 1 inch, or actually it's less than an inch, so we're not going to go. So if we got less than an inch, we're going to go 1, okay, 2, and then pull out just a little extra, and then you'll want a really good pair of scissors to get up underneath it and cut your material to length. Now that, for this table, and a lot of people would try to just lay it down and put it on, you know, like this thick. And when you do that, you're going to have a lot of trim work to do, because this stuff is going to bunch up and it's going to be more of a rope than it is a brush with a spine in it that's just holding your materials. So let's go ahead and bring the brush tape. Nope, wait, need to back up here a little bit, because what we need to do first actually is put the tail on here, and you do want a tail. And I've already pre-cut some material here, which is actually almost 3 times the length of the shank of the hook, and you want that. But this, again, I need to move this aside here for a second. Let's go back to this one here. So this, again, is too much material, and it's a little more than half of what that was there. So what you want to do is just spread this out a little bit, because you want to be able to see through it very easily, just like that. See, I can see the scale behind there. All right, so I've got 2 inches laid out there. All we need out of here is about 1 inch of this material. Okay, so we'll lay that other piece aside, and we've got this here. So now what we're going to want to do to get the taper in, and everybody should know how to do this by now, is to just take some of the material and just pull it out, and then you might just go ahead and rewind it a little bit, and then flatten it again, and then pull it out. That'll give you that nice taper that you're going to be looking for at the finish of the fly. So let's go ahead and put the thread on here. And this is another thing that it makes it easier to dress your thread and keep it uniform all the way across. Not to say that has to be done, but if you take your tag end of your thread and pull it kind of tight, not so tight that you're bending your hook, but tight, pull it taut, and then just wrap tightly around the hook, pushing back. What happens is that thread, this thread is pushing the material. Oops, let me get this out here, my pointer. That thread, as I wrap it, this thread is pushing the thread back onto itself, and it's going to give you that real nice looking thread base right there. That's what you're looking for. So pull here and then wrap, and you can do this pretty quickly, because it does a really, really good job of keeping that finely attached, wrapped onto the hook. Okay, so we got that right there. So now what we're going to want to do is we're going to take the tail part of this tie and kind of split it in half. Probably be a good idea to just go ahead and split it in half on the thread, like so, and then bring it up and into the shank of the hook. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and put a couple wraps on there, and then work it around to try and make sure we've got a good even spread all the way around. If you got a little bit loose on the bottom, that's okay. And then you're going to be wrapping tight right here, because you don't want this to move. So that's that. We'll go ahead and pull this thread to the front. Alright, so look, that's got a really nice taper to it from what we did there. And then if you want to get the stragglers back here kind of trimmed up and make them look decent, I'm not sure if it really makes a difference, but To some people it does. So there we go. We got our tail on, nice tapered tail there. And so now we're ready to bring to bring our table up and put it into place. And you just simply put it up like so, bring your thread across the table. And the reason why I've got this at an angle here, let's see if it's got a better view from this angle. Yeah, sort of. It's out of focus because I've got it focused for this area down here. But you can see that after your brush is made, you'll be able to get in here. The brush will be laying across here, and then you can bring your materials. I'll show you this in a minute. And you got more room to do some wraps in there to finalize the attaching the brush to your table. So let's get back here. And now, actually, let's go back here. Whoops. Come on, Mike. There. And now, this is our body material. So we're going to want to, this is a lot. So what we're going to want to do is spread it out just like we have here. Okay. And then we're going to take the material up on top like so, and then we're going to kind of pull back, put your fingers to the front, and then just pull some of that material out just a little bit, and then hold it down and pull it back on this side. So what you're trying to do is get a real even, a very even laying down of the material that you're going to be using. And I think the Bonnie cord for this application here is really the best. And then what I'm going to do is pull off what we're not going to use. Now it's kind of looking thin, right? But I'm telling you, you want your brushes, even if you use a larger brush table, you really want your brush. I see people just piling on the materials, and what that does is it just builds up a lot of bulk. Unnecessary bulk onto your fly, and it's harder to control, and a lot of times you end up having to take your scissors and form it around by cutting. If you do it this way with very little material, you will be able to just roll it on and be done with it. So this is the 2" by 2" lame that I've already got prepped out here to be able to pull the materials out. Another thing that I do, just to let you know, is I have a box of this stuff sitting under my desk here. So what I've got is a box of bounce. So what does bounce have to do with tying flies? Well, when it comes to this stuff here, okay, you're going to want to make sure you get all the static out of your hands and off of the material. So you just put it on there and squeeze it a little bit, and then what that's going to do is it's going to allow you to pull this material out and lay it down without it sticking to your hands. And the reason why I do the 2" piece on this table is because it's really a perfect amount of flash to lay down to build this fly here. So just go ahead and pull it out and lay it down just like that. And do it as even as you can, but don't worry about it if it's not too even, because again, remember, you're going to be wrapping this material up. The other thing that I do is, and here I want to kind of go on a little tangent here, because I'm showing some things that are just not readily available at a lot of fly shops, or any fly shops for that matter. So when you spin your brushes, you can do it in a lot of different ways. People use drills and hand and spinners and whatever, but I've got this frothing tool that I reworked into making a little hook loop on here so I can grab my thread. This brush is going to be made without any wire, meaning that you're going to be able to use your scissors to make all the cuts and trim it up and everything. So I'll be able to grab it with this. I can regulate the speed by taking my finger and pushing here, putting the full power, turn it on full power, and then all I need to do is just let go a little bit and you can see it start to turn. Now I can let it go to full spin, or I can kind of keep my finger on there and keep it under control and turn it off. This is the one that you want, this frother right here. They've got them with power buttons on the bottom and on the sides, and this one here is just in the most convenient spot. It was almost like it was made to do what we're wanting to do here. So it's full on, okay, and then we'll just like so. Okay, so I'll turn it off and go ahead and show you exactly what I'm talking about. So you grab it and bring your hook around, and here again is why we have this angle here, okay, is so that we can get our thread in there and lock it together, and that pulls that thread, and then all you need to do is take your table, pull it away, look at that, and it's out of the way. Now you've got, you're pulling here on your spinning tool, and then you can even it out even more, okay, and pull it into place. So you got that right there. Now what I'm going to do is just go ahead and spin it. Didn't take much, did it? Just one little spin, and it is ready to go, and there won't be any material to come out on my brush. And that is a nice fine brush right there. Okay, it's got the right length of materials. Then you lay it down like so, bring your thread back to the front. I have a pair of hemostats that I cut the tips off of to be able to grab it nice and close, and then I can pull it off of my spinner. Alright, now all we need to do is take and brush all this back. Look at that. This just, I mean, the spine that goes down through there is pretty much just thread. This stuff is not going to pull out. Alright, so we got it like so. Now we'll go ahead and start wrapping like so, and at each wrap I'm going to take my bodkin, and this bodkin I made from some stainless steel wire, and it fits right inside a 5mm, I think it's a 5mm tube. I could be wrong. It's something. A 0.5. I'm sorry, that's what it is. A 0.5mm lead holder. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this on just like so. Let's go down to this one here. And as I do that, I might go ahead and take my brush and kind of pull it out and up from there and on the sides and on the top. And then go ahead and continue wrapping. So you can see where it kind of starts bunching. Can you? I don't know. Let's see if we can get to the top. That's not bad. But you can see where the fibers are starting to lock up back in the back there. So we want to pull those out, and the best way to do that is just do it with the brush. Alright, so let's go back here. And then continue wrapping towards the front. Once in a while you might want to kind of bring those things back a little bit and then continue your turning here. Once in a while grab your brush and pull it out so nothing gets laid on top of one another, and you'll have a nice even brush all the way around. So now what you're going to want to do is pull on the fibers here to open it up so that you can get your thread. And I'll tell you, the best thing to do is make sure you bring your bodkin all the way up to the top with the thread. That way you've got more control over it. Just like that. Okay? And now we're going to pull back and push back until we have a real nice clean looking head right there. Or we'll have from between the eye of the hook and the material. It's all about manipulation. You want to manipulate your material to get the head that you really want to see on your tie. Okay, so we got it there. Now we'll take the pull up on the hemostats and then put your thread in there and kind of run your hemostat or your cutters, your scissors, so you can get a real good close cut on that, just like that. And then that's all the waste that you have, which is hardly any waste at all, really. That's one of the reasons why I like that that brush table. Makes it so much easier to do your brushes, especially if you're doing small ones like this. But let me interject here real quick, because you might think, well, that's not making a big enough brush. Well, it's not making a big enough brush for you know, for something like a great big fly like this long. Obviously, it's better to do a big table, or is it? Because what happens is you've got a brush with the material that's the same length all the way across. When you're using this table, okay, when you're using this table, you can do your brush with this much material, and whatever length you want in the back, you can start adjusting it towards the front. And guess where that advantage comes in, if you think about it. That advantage comes in when you're tying up the game changer. All right? If you like tying game changers, you'll be able to do each section of the articulated shanks to the length of material that you want, without doing the same length all the way through and then cutting it down with your scissors. You can avoid that by just, and I know you can tie in, you know, you cut, lay it aside, get another piece shorter, whatever, and tie it in. But I mean, this is just pretty convenient. You just take it and it's out of the way, and now you're ready to go. So we got it all tied here, and we're going to go ahead and again brush it out for the last time. And one of the things that I like to do to maintain a nice shape is I've got rubber bands, these little ponytail type rubber bands, and I will put that, oops, that flipped down there pretty hard and pretty quick. I'm going to do it over again. Okay, maybe, let's see, is that enough? No, this, you do have to double it up. Okay, so let's do that, and there we go, and bring it forward. Okay, so now that I've got that on there, the reason why I've got that on there is it's going to train all of my material. I'm not going to worry about this stuff that's sticking out right now. I mean, if you want to, you can go ahead and trim up the really bad stragglers, but I just don't think it's quite necessary. But anyway, if you want to, go ahead, go for it. The other thing that I have is that I'm probably going to have available on my Etsy store, and you'll have a link in this video on YouTube in the description area that'll have the link on where you can get all of this stuff here. I've got 3 different sizes, small, medium, and large, and one's about 1/8 of an inch. These are probably around 5/16, and the others are around 1/4 of an inch. And the way I like to get these is to use my X-Acto knife, peel it off, and position it and just lay it down. This material here is a very high grade vinyl used in the sign industry, and the adhesive on this stuff is way better than any of the and I'm not, I mean, if you want to use craft store stuff, go for it, because it works. But this stuff here works better. I mean, it really does. I mean, there are things that work better than craft store materials. Okay, so there we got the eyes in place. Okay, now all we need to do is put some UV on it. And I'll start up on the top. I don't put any on the eyes yet, but I'm trying to build up a head here. And then I'll bring my light over. This light that I use is it's corded, and I've got it in such a way that it's on a tether, and I can pull it in a lot of different directions and just lay it aside when I'm not using it. But it's pretty convenient, and it's got a flashing function on it. And then I can just lay it down and then flip my fly over and hit the bottom side of it here. So we'll go ahead and hit in here. Like so. And okay, so now we'll go ahead and put some on the eye, and I'll kind of push it back a little bit to get onto the fibers as it's covering the eye. Okay. That does a pretty darn good job. Alright, so let's go ahead and put some on the other side, and we're just about done. I'm going to show you one last thing to even the head out on this fly to make it very uniform. Okay, you don't really need to hold the light on too long because we're not curing it, we're just setting it right now, setting the UV. So now what we're going to want to do is take the UV and kind of hit the threads that are still exposed, and then just lay you a pretty good line of UV down all the way around. Okay, and then what that'll do is it'll leave that fluid up on the top area there. Alright, and as you spin it, it will even out all the way around. And then once you spin it for a couple of minutes, and if you let it set too long, it'll start dripping on you. I don't know if you can see that right. See that? You don't want that. So you just keep spinning it until it's even. And you can only do this with a rotary vise, so if you don't have one, then you can't do this. But we'll go ahead and set this UV up. And as you have it on there for any length of time, you can start slowing down your spinning. Okay, so now I kind of like putting this light on the flash, because I think it shocks the on and off, the fast on and off shocks the UV to a point where I think it hardens faster and harder. The pulsating, I think, is just a plus with this particular light right here. I mean, people do this, you know, and up and down and all this kind of stuff, but with this you can get it up close, leave it close, and just let the light do its work. just like that. And we'll turn it off, and we'll pull off the rubber band and brush it back. And now you've got yourself a nice teardrop shape minnow, and it's really ready to go, just like that. If you want to, you can airbrush it and put a little stripe across the top. You can take a Sharpie and hit it down in underneath, like for a bleeding gill or something like that, if you want to. You know, like so. And you don't have to do this, but you can do it if you want to. A lot of people swear by the red. All right. Another thing that you can do with these is you pull back on the material. All right, get a black marker and pull it tight and just I mean, if that's what you want to do. Personally, I don't do too much. I might put the red on it, but the eyes is really about all I do on these, and they work really well. Now, one of the things I am going to show in another video is using this stuff here, which is also going to be available on my Etsy store. These are all cut. This foam, and I'm going to do a video on the hardnesses of foam because there's different. They're all EVA and they all float. I have people say, well, this EVA doesn't float. Well, it may not be, you know, an EVA foam, and it may be. But all EVA foam floats. And I'll even show you, you take a piece of a cutting board. I cut a piece of cutting board, that hard white plastic, and I put it in the water and it floated right to the top. So there's a lot of different plastics that float. And what I think, what I believe is what you want on your poppers is poppers that will be soft, so that when your fish comes up to hit the fly and feels this EVA material and it's soft, it feels more realistic to the fish, and I think they hang on just a little bit longer. But what I'm going to do is, and this would be called my streeper, is I wouldn't have eyes on it here. I'd put the eyes on the foam up more towards the front, and we'll do a video on putting those together, and then this part here dangles while this part holds the fly up, and then as you pull it, it goes down. As it's setting, you pull and it goes up, down, and it just tantalizes the fish quite a bit. So anyway, there it is, just a small Bonnie cord minnow with some harvested lamé flash. Hope you enjoyed this. This is not the end. Let me just say one more thing real quick. I know a lot of people like to do their own thing and make their own thing. Obviously I do, and I don't want to take anything away from anybody. So what I'm going to ask you now is, and please just list them on in the comments on my YouTube channel, would you like to see me do some videos on actually, you know, making the materials? How did I make this? How did I make this brush table? I mean, if you want to make your own, I'm not going to give you the file, but I will break it down to where you can make your own. I might consider selling the file, I don't know. But you probably should be, you know, somewhat of an intermediate 3D printer to be able to do this. It's not really a beginner project. So if you'd like to see that, I mean, another thing I make are these bodkins here. I make the bodkins. I make a track to be able to put the hole down the exact middle in the lower section of these foam plugs, and I'll show that in a separate video if you would like to see it. If you'd like to see how I do this stuff on the back end, just let me know again in the comment sections, and I will do that. This is Mike. Until the next video, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.